Hi, it's Rutabaga Day today. We have had a couple of really good frosts out there, so it was time to harvest the rutabaga. I did that the other day, and they've just been sitting in my garage, and I have to get them processed down or do something with them here so they'll keep longer for me. A lot of people call rutabagas turnips or Swedes or things like that. You know they're a rutabaga because they have a nice yellow flesh. So they're sort of a cross between a turnip and a cabbage. So they are different than turnips. They're a little bit bitter until you cook them, then they sweeten up quite a bit. A lot of people don't really use them or know what to do with them. So today I'm going to take you on a journey of what I do with our rutabagas. Okay, so they're very high in vitamin C and E and lots of fiber and antioxidants in the rutabaga. You can see this one here is just massive. So basically I just went out, cut off the tops and cut off the roots of them here. I'm going to show you how to wax them. Does it keep them over winter? And then I'm also going to cut some up and I'm going to freeze them for winter. That way I can just pop them out of the freezer anytime you want to have them in the winter and have mashed rutabaga, which is excellent. Add a little bit of butter and brown sugar and mash it up like mashed potatoes. It is so good. Or another way you can do them is cut them up like French fries and cook them in the oven with spices and herbs. Oh, very good with a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil is very good too. Okay, so I have some knives here and we're gonna see how we can do cutting them. I like to first all cut them in half because they had that nice frost. They're a little easier to cut. And you see there's nice yellow flesh where a turnip would be whitish. And then I just go along and peel them here. So they have sort of funny looking roots. I should have took some pictures of that before I cut them off and washed them up here, but I didn't, of course. I forgot. That's okay. If you really want to, you can peel it with a peeler or something like that. I just use the knife and cut everything off. And all the little bits and pieces here, you can give to your rabbits, to your goats, to your chickens, all your animals like that, and they'll gobble it up. Rutabagas, a lot of people just grow them for fodder for their animals because they store well over winter and they grow so big. So I got them all peeled and I got them washed off and ready to cut up. Right now I'm going to do the ones I want to freeze. So I'm just cutting these into about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch cubes before I blanch them. And I did taste a piece of it, and because we had a couple good frosts, I mean real good frosts on them, they're not bitter anymore, they're sweet. Okay, so I have a pot of water here on the stove. It's rapidly boiling. And all I want to do to blanch these, I'm going to put them in the boiling water for 3 minutes and then take them out and put them in ice cold water. Some people have a whole pot that can go inside the pot with all the holes to do it all nice and fancy and easy. I don't have that, so I just gonna have to put them in this way. There's one, and there's another one there. So I'm gonna wait till that comes up to a boil again, and then I'll count down for 3 minutes. That way, when they're kept in the freezer, they're not gonna be tough. If you take any vegetable and you just freeze it how it is without blanching or cooking first, your vegetable is going to be very tough when you go to eat it again. them to come back up to a boil, what I'm doing is filling both my sinks with extremely cold water. Our water is from the well, a drilled well, so it is very cold. If your water's not that cold, you can add some ice into here to make it colder. That way I can stop the cooking process fairly quickly. So I'll dump them all into one side, and then once they start to cool down a bit there, then I'll put them into the other side of the cold water to cool them down further. Okay, so our pots come back up to a boil now. So I'm just going to set my timer on the stove for 3 minutes. And then in 3 minutes time, I'll take them off and plunge them into the cold, cold water. Okay, so our 3 minutes is up. I turn them off. And now you could just pour this whole thing into the sink if you wanted to. This is probably a little easier for me because it's a little bit heavy. So I'm just taking out our rutabaga, or sweets, or whatever name you want to call them. Put them right in the cold water to stop the cooking process as quickly. I don't know if I've ever heard that word. As quickly as we can. Okay, so we got them in the one thing of water, and they're cooling down, and I can feel my water is starting to warm up. So what I'm gonna do is take them out of here and put them over to my other side of my sink. To get back into colder water again. Like I said, if you got ice or your water's not that cold, you can just add ice to your water. That will definitely help the cooling down process, the cooking process, because we don't want them fully cooked. Okay, so the second sink here, the water's still freezing cold, so I shouldn't have to transfer them again. So I'm just gonna leave them in there a minute or two to cool completely down. So we have all of our rutabaga here all drained and nice and cool. There's a couple ways you can freeze this. The first way is just if you have a food saver, you can freeze it in the bags there. Or what you can do is put it out on a cookie sheet, space it all out, all nice and beautiful, and then pop this in the freezer. Sort of single layer is best. And then when it's frozen, you bring it back out of the freezer and you put it in some Ziploc bags. So this one here, I'm gonna pop in the freezer. So I like to do it just enough for the two of us to eat, because the dog really doesn't like eating these. So it's just me and my husband nowadays with no kids around. I might do it for maybe enough for a little bit of leftovers, or if someone happens to come by too and stops in. And then you can just go like this, get your food saver, make it nice and flat so it lays in your freezer beautiful. Vacuum before it starts sucking the water up into there where it seals. I push seal. You can also put a paper towel inside there if you're having a hard time sealing them. That will work too. Voila, it worked. Okay, so this is the setup I have going to wax down my rutabagas. I usually like doing this outside because it is so messy and I don't like to get wax all over everything. but it's kind of drizzly on and off out today. So I'm doing it in here. I am doing it on top of my big cook stove. It's not cold enough to light my cook stove, so that's a good thing. I can just use it as a big surface here. So what I do have, I have freezer paper we use to wrap up venison and things like that down. It's just a wax freezer paper. I have it down on top of the wood stove, so it'll be easy cleanup. I have a little burner here, hot plate I guess you call them. I have a double boiler right here. This was my mother's. It's not really a double boiler. What it is 2 pots that fit inside of each other. And it's old. She used it to do candle making and anything to do with wax. So that's all these 2 pots has ever been used for since I've known. So right now I have water down in the bottom pot. And then we have this pot on top to use her as our double boiler. That way we won't burn the wax. Okay, and then I am using paraffin wax. People a long time ago used paraffin wax. They used it when they're canning a lot and they put it on top of their berries or stuff. It was a way to preserve the fruit and stuff before they had really good canning lids, I guess. I don't know. I've never preserved anything like that. I do have recipes that call for that, but never done it before. And basically what it is a food grade wax here. So, and it just comes in these white bars. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna pop a few of these in here, let them melt like that. Probably don't need that much, but we might as well, because I will use them if I'm making candles, or when it hardens up in there, it's easy to take out anyways. And I do make candles. I also use this if I'm boiling beeswax down to make creams or lip balm or something like that too. I could use it, do this on top of my regular stove, but believe me, it's a mess. So I always try to do this outside or somewhere where it's going to be super easy to clean up. Okay, so our wax is all melted down. All we do is take our turnip. Sorry, it's not a turnip. All we do is take our rutabaga and roll it around in the paraffin wax and make sure it gets coated everywhere. If you want, you can use utensils to do this. It's not going to burn. If you don't have it very hot, it's really not going to burn you. You just want to make sure it gets evenly coated everywhere. See, I just splashed. That's why it is such a messy thing to do. Okay. You can sort of dip it like that too if you want. And then bring it out and set it on the paper. Then we'll go over our other ones. Ooh, these turnips are turnips again. See, I keep calling them turnips. Rutabagas are fairly big this year for my little pot. If I grow them bigger, I would have to get a bigger pot. So basically, as I'm turning it each side, then when it comes out of the wax, it gets dry enough. It dries real quick actually, because I don't have it like superb hot, just melted on low in the double boiler. Okay, let's see how we make it out here. And basically what this is doing is keeping all the moisture in. It's making it so no air can get in and wreck your rutabaga. Okay, we got one more to do here. I've seen some people, they try to brush it on with a brush and things like that. Then they got a great big mess happening and it doesn't really seal very good. That's why I like dipping them in here like this. And you're just basically rolling it around. You see it's already coated there and sort of already dried each time I turn it. Just to make sure every little nook and cranny gets wax in it and on it. See right there's some holes. I think I got it down there. I'm not sure if I did. So I can just, see some little holes there I want to get. You just do that too. Pour them in, make sure they're right in the holes. Everything's all sealed up. And it's going to store a lot longer down in your root cellar or wherever you're going to store it. And that is basically how you wax your turnips. It is not hard. Years ago, when I used to do tons and tons of turnips, rutabagas, you know, I'd do 20, 30 of them and put down in the root cellar. And they would last months upon months till almost springtime. Oh, sorry.